From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, big mailbag. We're asked to pick out a top play from the offense and defense in the spring so far, throw out a two deep on the offensive line, and generating discussion sparked by Cummins. It's a question that, quite frankly, grinds my gears right now. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We'll be there later on Friday, like Friday afternoonish, right, Corey, after the golf tournament, hanging out, come out and shake some hands and rub some elbows with some of the guys. Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait, buddy. Bill caters it, I guess is the way to say it. So yeah, we'll be there after. Your team's probably going to shoot a 65. Stephanie's team might shoot a 68, I think. Okay. And we'll see who shoots in the 40s.
And you're gonna right. I was gonna say you're gonna have a hand in all of it. And
I'm going to try. Yeah.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99. Today's lunch special: cheesesteak sandwich, chicken or steak. Side dish of your choice as well. Go check it out. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. Like, follow, subscribe, all that. If you're on the YouTube machine, or in fact, anybody out there, FSU1. That promo code gets you 2 months of access for only $1 on the On3 network, Warchant.com as well. So do that, won't you? Big mailbag today, Cord. Big mailbag. Trust you're doing well before we dive into all these questions?
I'm crushing it. I'm crushing life.
Okay. I should have gone and golfed yesterday, but I didn't. And it's gonna have Ira. I think Keith Cottrell's going to be on the team. Matt Lasserre. Lasserre's a ringer, or at least looks the part. So got to lean on my guys. And what's your plan? So you're gonna putt for all of us?
I'm going to go back and forth between the two teams, helping you out when I can. Maybe make a putt, maybe chip as long as it's inside like 50 yards. Try to get us close to the hole.
All right, I like that. I'm all about it. All right, let's get to it then. Noleboy02, wake up, boys. Who is the biggest surprise player for Florida State baseball this year?
Dingus.
Okay, all right.
We expected when they got Faroux, when they got Lodis, when they got Cantu, when they brought in Leiter, maybe Jamie Arnold's ascension has been it's certainly been a surprise. I don't know if I'm as surprised, but just because you knew there was some stuff there, but Dingus I had no idea about, none, and he has turned into one of the best hitters in the conference. Just hits laser beams everywhere. So I would say Dingus or Arnold are my two. Dingus, but then Arnold's up there too. All
right, I'll co-sign on that. You can't say Faroux because Faroux was like a freshman All-American, but I did not do my research thoroughly enough on him. I was expecting much more out of Alex. If you would have said like Lodis or Faroux, who do you think is going to be the more impactful player for the team? I would have said Lodis hands down easily, and that is clearly not the case so far. So
yeah, but only what are they played like 26 games? It's baseball, but Lodis is coming games. On. Hit a they haven't. Lodis hasn't
right.
Because you pulled for a series, but he's hit a home run I think in 2 of his last 3 games maybe. So he's found it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. This is an infusion of talent. There's not a lot of guys that have taken. Although like James Tibbs being where he's at, that's kind of a surprise. I didn't know how much more he had to build and grow, but my gosh,
and Cam Smith obviously has raised his average. We're not at the end of the season yet, but like 160 points. He's flirted, been around 400 all year, and then Tibbs. But it's not a surprise that Tibbs is really good. Right. It might be a surprise that he is ultra elite. But yeah, I just think from guys that you had no expectations at all from. Dingus, when Link was talking about him a week before the season, and he's like, and obviously the ball comes off his bat violently. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take your word. I don't even know who you're talking about, but I know who he is now.
Yeah. Let's go to Naples. Our guy Mark. He's got 4 graphs. Wake up,
Mark. Come on.
Yeah. Basically, he's texting a buddy of his about the UConn win from the other day because his buddy's a Connecticut native, but he's a Florida fan as well. I think he went to UF. Basically, he's a Gator homer, says that Florida's got the hardest football schedule in the country, says that Kentucky would be favored against every ACC team except maybe Clemson and Florida State. He talks about the snub, and that's why Florida State's trying to leave the ACC, but Mark points out to him that there's other factors in play here. But basically, remind him that Florida State's 4-0 in their last 4 games against SEC opponents. Orange Bowl excluded, of course. Let's not do that stuff. Come on.
No, absolutely do that. That was Georgia beat Florida State's scout team. They would beat every college football team that had their top 12 of their top 14 players not playing. They all would have lost by at least 40 points. All of them. Now 63-3 might be a little out there, but Georgia playing at that Georgia roster versus any college football team in America that was on its third string quarterback. It didn't have any of its good defensive players, like literally any of them, besides Deloach. Yeah, you're all going to lose by 45 points.
Yeah, but I still think, full strength to full strength, Georgia probably still is favored
probably,
in that game.
Oh, so yeah, they would have been.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they probably would have been, but again, I am 100% that was a 13-0 football team in 2023. That's all I'm going to refer to it as. I'm never going to call them 13-1 ever, and I'm never going to say that was a loss to an SEC school because that was ridiculous. Yes, with Tate Rodemaker, they were not going to beat Georgia in the playoff, I don't think. But still, they had a really, really good defense, and Georgia probably doesn't put up 63 against them.
Nonetheless, what's your suggested zinger back to a Gator homer like this?
I mean, I don't know, man. I guess I didn't get the gist of the
He's having to deal with an obnoxious Florida fan. What do you do to quiet them down?
It's been 15 years since Florida mattered. I don't know. Tebow's retired now from 2 sports. It's been a minute. Yeah, when was the last time Florida was undefeated?
Never.
19-4. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can throw at Gator fans right now. I don't know. I don't think it would be that hard. But he is not wrong. I mean, there is a reason that Florida State wants to get out of the ACC. The SEC is a better conference, and the perception is probably the perception of the difference between the SEC and ACC is probably larger than the reality. But perception clearly matters because Florida State didn't play in the playoffs. And a 1-loss, almost 3 to 4 loss Alabama team did.
I would just ask your friend, see how old they are, I guess. And then, maybe he's like 55. And you could be like, well, what would you think if somebody that was 5 years old had accumulated and earned just as much wealth as you had? Because Florida has had at least a 50-year head start on Florida State. And they have nothing tangible to show for it in excess of what Florida State's accomplished on the field. Same amount of Heisman winners, same amount of national championships. Florida State has the undefeated season. Florida does not. Every time Florida State wins a national title, they have to go beat the Gators in Gainesville, and they do so.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Florida State has more Pro Football Hall of Famers than Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might even have more college football Hall of Famers in Florida. When people talk about the greatest coaches in college football history, people will mention Spurrier, but nobody outside of Alachua County, Alachua, whatever they call it down there, says Spurrier ahead of Bobby Bowden. So, yeah, it's just just facts.
There you go, Aslan. There you go.
All right, good stuff. Moving along. Next question here, Corey. I think early in the show, but I think it's time to fire up the cameras. Not only fire up the cameras, but fire up that generator. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Sound of energy.
It's the sound of my childhood.
Yeah. The wheels in our head turning. It is generating discussion sparked by Cummins. I've deemed this to be the best question of the bag, at least thus far. We'll see if somebody can topple it over, but we're going to roll with this one for right now. Follow the good folks over at Cummins on Instagram at Cummins Lifestyle. Again, they got this ongoing project that's going to culminate, we think, in an event that's going to involve Florida State, maybe playing football in the Midwest somewhere. So follow along with them. Best question gets entered into a monthly drawing for a Cummins swag bag. And at the end of the year, all the weekly winners, Nole fan class of 2007 or Nole for life, the guy from last week, he's going to be in it. They'll win either a portable generator, Corey, or a portable power station. Like
That's
retail
crazy.
value of over $600.
Yeah, I know. That's expensive stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of expensive, NIL. It's not what this has to deal with, but this one just kind of grinded my gears, Corey. A guy in Birmingham, Beeham FSU, says that crazy talk here. Absolutely. But with a lot of buzz surrounding this year's offense being better than 2023's, in hindsight, did Jordan play as good as we thought? Did he have too much control, too much freedom? Looking back at some of these games, there were a lot of disjointed moments. He showed frustration. Many of us armchair quarterbacks asking him to spread the ball around more. Listen, if we're comparing quarterbacks to 2013 Jameis Winston, no one is ever going to be that awesome, that in control, that effective. But man, Jordan was very efficient, very effective. Yeah, there were some disjointed moments, but so did Michael Penix, so did Bo Nix, so did whoever, J.J. McCarthy. No quarterback out in college football is going 25-28 and just looking like an absolute machine every single week. And listen, we talk about them struggling, quote unquote, in the latter parts of the season. That's when everybody was really banged up. I mean, other than that, they were scoring 30 points every single week. They might have bigger plays. The big play might be part of the offense in terms of deep downfield shots. There is no part of me that thinks in any way this offense is going to be better overall, more efficient, more effective than last year's offense. I can't do it, Corey.
Yeah, I can't do it right now either. Going to the heart of the Jordan Travis part of the question, though, about him not being as good, I don't think people were judging him necessarily against Winston 2013, but maybe against end of 2022 Jordan Travis. He made bigger plays. He made more spectacular plays. He was unbelievable against Oklahoma and even more unbelievable against Florida. He didn't quite have those magical moments he didn't have as many magical moments in 2023, but he had 2 interceptions the whole season. That's the height of efficiency. They were always ending possessions with kicks, extra points, field goals, or punts, but that's the goal. More extra points than anything else, obviously. But I thought Jordan Travis was very, very good all of last season. Maybe not quite the level that he was at the end of 22, but I mean, when you think about that LSU game, he was unbelievable. And there weren't many games after that where he had his full complement of a healthy Keon and a healthy Johnny and a healthy Jaheim. So he was kind of mixing and matching a little bit. I think, again, I've said this answer before. I think this offense can be better than the November 2023 offense. It cannot be better than the offense that we saw in September when it was operating at full capacity, I don't think. But we didn't see that offense that much. So in regards to that, in relation to that, I do think this offense will hit more shots downfield. It'll take more shots downfield. And quite frankly, it absolutely has to have a better running game, and I think it will. Just from what we've seen so far in spring practice, I think it'll have a better running game. Jordan Travis didn't get the benefit of that in 2023. That made him and the offense look a little more pedestrian the second half of the season. But overall, they won every game. He was certainly good enough to win every game. He was a very, very good college football player. I don't think you're going to be as good at quarterback, but maybe the offense can be similar because we never got the full weaponry of the 2023 offense except for a few games.
It wasn't that long ago this season, but I don't know if I can be at a place where I can look back at it and be like, well, you know what? Maybe he felt the pressure of keeping this thing undefeated and chasing a national championship, and he never.
There was a lot of frustration, though. I do remember that. He was clearly frustrated a lot in the middle of the season, right? Don't you remember that?
Like the Duke game, the Miami game. Yeah, but what? So, I mean, DJ, I think, just has a cooler disposition to him. I don't think he'll show that kind of frustration in a game, but I think he'll give you frustrating moments as a fan. Just, again, I mean, he's a guy that his career, he's completed like 58% of his passes. Jordan was like in the mid-60s. That's considerably more over.
And I think this past year he was over 70. And I wasn't saying that I wasn't saying anything about DJ being calmer, so that's better. I'm just saying that Jordan showing that frustration illustrates that it wasn't perfect all the time in 23. There were some lumps that they took on offense where they didn't perform at the way that they wanted to or expected to. Hence the frustration he showed during those games. But yeah, man, Jordan was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. Certainly one of the most efficient in Florida State history. And there is a chance. I hope this doesn't happen. There is a chance that by midway through 2024, you will really be remembering fondly how Jordan Travis made this offense look and how easy sometimes he made it look and how comfortable he was in it. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope DJ finds it, hits his stride early, and stays there the whole time. But the last 2 years, Jordan Travis made this offense run really well.
I guess we are leaving the door open, though, because we're giving the possibility of a deep downfield passing game being more effective. We think the running game will be a little bit better. So by virtue of those two things, I guess that leaves the door open. But I am of the cynic take that I don't know if that's going to show itself week in and week out. It might be more up and down kind of performance out of those two things, because I just think his familiarity, there's no way you can say that a quarterback who got you into the correct play 90% of the time, there won't be some kind of detriment with his absence.
That's a great point. That is the point, by the way, is Alex Atkins, offensive coordinator, said that before spring practice started, that Jordan Travis got them in the right play 90% of the time. That is so much of what being a quarterback is about, the decision-making, pre-snap and post-snap, the decision-making, and not many people, if any, did it better than him. So again, to answer the question, yes, I think he played very, very well in 2023. It's not all about hitting the home runs down the middle of the field. It's about keeping the ball, keeping possession, and going and winning games. And to that end, nobody did it better in the country. He was so good that they didn't get to play in the playoff because he wasn't available. So just always remember that.
All right. You like the Cummins swag, everybody? Check it out.
Man, this shirt, I don't know how I think it looks good, but I think everything looks good on me. But it's really comfortable.
It is.
I love this material, man. This is really comfortable. But I hope y'all care about that. Y'all should care about that. Get you some.
That's your Cummins lifestyle, everybody. Comfortable fabrics, breathable, lightweight, very flattering cuts. Follow them on Instagram, Cummins Lifestyle. They're Florida State fans helping support this. All right, we got a long show. Let's get back to it, Corey. Next question up here on deck. Bourbon is your friend. Up here in Bardstown, Kentucky, I have Salt River Electric Company, but if the power were to ever go out, I would trust Cummins to run backup power for my home and family. Good stuff.
There you go. All right.
Didn't get you.
He knows how to get on your good side.
Can't pander me, Dave. I'm
right
you
down
can. Line. With that in mind, which backup do you trust most were their respective starter to go down?
Just general. Like, I thought he was going to give us choices.
No, just anybody on there. Projected depth chart for 2024. I already know Corey's answer. Ask me in 4 months. 2, who's your favorite backup from the 80s, 90s, and aughts? Dan Kendra, not allowed. He's too obvious. 3, what about your favorite backup of all time in any sport? His would be Donald Royal, who played for the Magic from 92 to 96.
Okay, that's really random. Well, I mean, we kind of know what the depth chart is going to be, right?
Yeah, it's so weird, though. They're personnel groups. There's not 1 and 2s.
I was going to say,
right?
Is Jalen Lucas a backup to Toa Feely?
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say this. Judging Quindarius Jones, I think, could fill in admirably. He's not as R.E.A. Thomas, because who is? But I think he could fill in admirably at corner. I think he's got a competitive streak about him. He's a good athlete. He's just got some, I don't know, man, some dog in him. I like that kid. So maybe he's the first one that jumped to mind when I heard that question.
Darius Washington, if he's not a starter, I guess.
Well, sure.
He'd be my most trusted backup. My favorite backup from I'll go the aughts, Xavier Lee, represent.
Yeah.
80s, 90s, anybody? We got to do the requisite Jeff Chaney. I feel like it needs to be involved in there. Everyone loved Jeff Chaney. He was everyone's favorite backup.
Yeah, he was really good. Chaney and then Rock Preston too. Loved Rock Preston. Warwick Dunn's backup there in the mid '90s. Man, that's a. So I was trying to think of any sport now.
All right, you got anybody from the '80s?
Spud Webb. He was never a starting point guard for the Hawks, but he would come in and play 12 minutes and do some crazy stuff. 5'7" guy, like legitimately dunking in games. Yeah, and I was the perfect age for it. I was like in elementary school when he burst onto the scene and won the dunk contest. Which, by the way, folks, it was 40 years ago almost. Oof. The stuff he did back then 40 years ago is still unbelievable. So go watch Spud Webb in the slam dunk contest. It's nuts. He beat Dominique in the finals, which was cool. I think that if Dominique's gonna lose to someone, instead of the time when he just got robbed, you want to talk about a snub. Forget the playoffs last year, folks, in college football. Michael Jordan winning it against Dominique in the slam dunk contest. Ridiculous. Oh, you're going to do the free throw line thing again, Michael? How novel. You've already done it once in this contest. You're going to go back and do it again, and you're only getting a 50 because you're in Chicago? Nonsense. Dominique was robbed. And for my money, Dominique was the better player. That's a joke. But, yeah, I think Spud Webb. Spud Webb's my answer.
All right, we'll keep it. I guess we'll keep it basketball then. Showtime Lakers, Michael Cooper. Those high socks.
Okay.
He was.
I feel like he started though.
No, he came off the bench.
He was a two guard.
No, they had
he's in the Hall of Fame.
Michael Cooper's. Is he in the Hall of Fame? Really?
I think he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if some of it's for his coaching career or something, but I'm almost positive. I just read that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, which to me is nuts. He was never one of the. He was never one of the three best players on his own team, but he was. It's all about opportunity and who you play with. So why not put Robert Horry in?
All right, I'll have to go fact check myself on this, but yeah. See, 86 season he started 2 games. 88 he started 8 games. Yeah,
okay.
Late era Showtime Lakers.
All right.
Played in all the games. Yeah, he was like he would shoot 3-pointers. I'm like, why don't they do that more often, Mom and Dad?
Yeah, those count more.
Yeah.
They get an extra point if it goes in.
So shout out to and also Sasha Vujacic, who helped the Lakers win the title in 2010. My guy from I think Slovenia just came out green light, called himself the Machine. It was awesome.
Okay, all right.
Jernal 1518, only 4 months and change until Dublin. Which Warchant staff member is most likely to do the following in August? 1, get into an obscenity-filled argument with Kirk Herbstreit at a local pub.
That's
2,
Jeff or Aslan.
No,
probably Jeff.
No,
I don't think you would.
No, I'm not. I have processed it. I've gone to therapy, and we're good. Who will accidentally offend a local by thinking Ireland is part of the United Kingdom?
That could be all of us. I thought you were going to say Scotland. I would ask for Scotch tape or something. Remember that skit on SNL?
Where's the Braveheart? Where was that scene? Where was?
Where did y'all film that?
Yeah,
was William Wallace from around here?
Yeah.
What city in Ireland did he grow up in? Yeah, that's funny. Do you remember that SNL skit where Mike Myers if it's not Scottish, it's crap store in the mall where it's all things Scottish?
No.
And every time he did the skit, somebody would come in and ask for a Guinness or something Irish, and he's like, "We're not Irish, we're Scottish." And yeah, that was the whole skit.
That's awesome. And who's most likely to say enough of this 9-to-5 drudgery and abruptly retire to the Irish countryside?
Whew. That would.
If Cameron's kids weren't about to start high school football, I'd also say Cameron on that one. But
I think Gene's got would have the easiest path to do that. I guess I would say Gene. But yeah, Jeff's got 2 kids playing high school sports. He's not going to want to bring them to Ireland. So what, they can play Gaelic football?
Right.
He's not into that. Or rugby, whatever they do in Ireland, darts, whatever's big in Ireland. I don't think Jeff's going to want his kids to take part in that.
Oh, it's been a while. It's Gator Kirk, everybody.
All right.
I should put an effect on my voice that makes it sound like I'm calling in. Give it that real Gator Kirk aesthetic. Yeah. What has been the most impressive offensive and defensive play from spring practice? I gotta cop out on this one. Or maybe you have something from Azarie that could be defensive play, but Jalen Lucas last week, one of the runs that he had, it has to be him, a singular play, but there isn't. I can't be period 15, 2 Tuesdays ago, that 65-yard catch and run. I can't cite it with that level of accuracy, but surely one of Jalen Lucas's plays that we were out there for the offense. Me personally speaking.
Yeah, and I thought, honestly, the throw that we talked about yesterday that DJ made to Portier, a 20-yard, just ripped it down the right where Cypress was in perfect position. That was an incredible throw. That was one of the highlights of the spring so far. Defensively, yeah, man, I don't know that I think Cryer had a pick six, which was a really nice play, a really instinctual play.
Yeah.
It was instinctual, but it was also an athletic play to cut in front like that.
Good call.
So
Good call.
I would say that, and then Azarie every other day does something. He's really good.
Yeah, Cryer had like a one-handed jump man silhouette pick six in a 11-on-11 situation.
Yeah.
Daryl Jackson in pass pro drills like he violently dislodged some guy and just like roller skates kind of thing where you hear about it and it's like, well, that's why they call it that, because it looks like that guy was on roller skates and just pushed them way back into the backfield. So but that wasn't like an 11-on-11 play. But yeah, I'll go Jalen Lucas and Justin Cryer. So that's good. Youth,
right.
young guys.
All right. We did it.
Fresh blood. Patches 1021. Wake up. Corey, Aslan, love what you guys do, but what would be better and more likely this year? Brooks Koepka getting the jacket or Tiger winning one last time at the Masters? Well, more likely is Brooks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I think better would be Tiger.
So I guess maybe Brooks only this year, or Tiger once in the next, I don't know how long he'd be competitive, 8 years?
Yeah, that's very...
I still think it's Brooks this year.
Oh,
I mean, I don't even know if can Tiger walk a full 72? I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like he's even close to fully healthy.
But hey, he said the other day, like, if everything comes together, he has a chance to win one more or add one more. So he's
confident. How about Jack Nicklaus? And he's got Florida State ties. Heck, he built the golf course here. His grandson played football here a decade ago. Pretty good tight end. What a relief! What a stunner upset that is. That the guy that had 15 or 14?
I thought it was 16, or was it 16 to beat Jack?
No, I think Jack has 18. I think Tiger is right now at 15, but the 15th was that Masters from 5 years ago. But,
you're right.
So that means 18. He had 14 in like 2010, right?
Yeah, 2009, I think. Yeah, or 2010. Yeah.
It was his 14th when I think he won the U.S. Open with a broken leg. I mean, the guy is like a Navy SEAL. But then and he actually tried out for the Navy SEALs, I think, or really seriously thought about doing it.
That's
bizarrely.
when the whole wife thing happened, right?
Yes, he was looking for something else. But yeah, like, so he was on pace to win 25. He was going to shatter Jack's record. Nobody's going to beat Jack's record now, right? Like, there's not going to be anybody that comes along that's better than Tiger, and Tiger couldn't even do it. No. So good for Jack. He's like the Cy Young of golf. Like, because I think there's more parity now than it's ever been. So it's just harder and harder to win these things. And Jack realistically back in the 70s had to beat 15 guys. Tiger had to beat 40. These guys are all really good. They can all win now. So kudos to Jack. Nobody's ever going to break his record. He'll always be able to live with that, just like Cy Young. Yeah,
so what do you think would be more likely? Like Brooks wins it this year or Tiger wins it at some point in the next 8,
Brooks,
like you said?
Brooks this year. Yeah. How many's he got, by the way? 5? 6?
I think he's got 5.
He's only 11 more, Brooks. You can do it.
Why wouldn't he just pull up? He's got 2 U.S. He's got 2 U.S. Opens and 2 PGA Championships. So, no, 5. He's got 3 PGA Championships.
Yeah, I think he won it last year too. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, U.S. Open in 17 and 18. 18, he also won the PGA Championship. 2019, he won the PGA Championship, and then last year he won the PGA Championship.
And I think he finished second that year to Tiger when Tiger won the Masters back whenever that was 5 years ago.
It does not list that in this PGA Tour media guide that popped up in my search, but I will not accuse you of being false, Corey.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Red Noles 50. Do we take a run at Nigel Kelly? He's a defensive end linebacker from Miami. They recruited him heavily 2 years ago, I think. He's had a lot of injury problems, but he's going to enter the portal. I don't know. Maybe. Thanks for asking recruiting.
I think that's more portaling than recruiting. I think that at least we know who that is, as opposed to me with like a 17. I just don't know. But it depends on if they think that guy is better than Byron Turner, right? I think there will be a lot of decisions as the spring plays out, and I think the portal opens on the 16th. The spring game is on the 20th, so you got to, and it's a 15-day window, I think, this year, starting at the 16th, ending at the end of April, where you will have a chance and they're doing it now. Obviously, they're assessing their roster, and they've seen it now for 3 weeks of spring. They've seen the newcomers, and the freshmen, and also the transfers, and they know right now probably, okay, we still need a little help here, or we are perfectly set here. And so there is a chance if they think that guy can help them, maybe not him, but somebody like him, they might make a run at it. I'm still not convinced about the fourth defensive end. I think they got 3 top flight wins. I don't know who the fourth one is yet, but is that worth portaling someone for your fourth defensive end spot? I don't know.
He's listed at 6'5", 250.
Okay.
As an
All right.
end, so played in 5 games last year, 131 snaps, but then he got injured, and PFF is not loading up his grades from 2022, so we're going to move on to the next question.
All right.
As I said, that popped it up. His freshman year, he played 183 snaps, graded out at 63.5, graded out at 58.9 last year.
Okay.
Good bones, though. Good bones on that house at 6'5", 250.
Yeah, and you got Papuchis, man. He's the defensive end whisperer.
Yeah. Nole_Dynasty, wake up. Rivalry week in baseball, Masters week. As I write this, Florida State is up 12-3. Hope they don't blow it.
They did not. They held on.
That being said, are you now able to spill the beans on who was injured last year, who was playing with injuries, or any other backstory from last year that you can now share? Don't get yourself in trouble, but appreciate the info.
I think we are absolutely at liberty to talk about the guys that are no longer in the program. Fabian Lovett.
Oh, see, I didn't want to talk about it. I feel like I don't want to ruin anybody's draft stock.
Oh no, he didn't practice a lot last year, but you saw in the games he was fine, and he certainly looked fine at pro day. But he was, and also I think a lot of with Fabian had to do with my man's been in college for 5 years. Like, what does he have to be told to get low by Odell for again throughout practice? So he just kind of did stuff on his own. Akeem didn't practice a lot, but clearly. He ran a 4.3 something at the pro day. He's completely healthy. He's shaken off whatever was wrong with him. Same thing with Keon. And yeah, I think those are the 3 main ones that come to mind that didn't do a whole lot of practice.
Jaheim,
the second half. Yeah, Jaheim too. That didn't do a whole lot of practice. And look, if I thought this would, it's not like. Number one, I don't think NFL evaluators are listening to this show.
You never know.
But if they were, they know everything about their injury history, and that they were slowed at times last year. I mean, that was obvious. We talked about it during the season, and so yes, we're not spilling any tea here. That's what the kids say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tea.
Yeah.
But yeah, those 4 in particular. The offensive linemen, I mean, none of them were right. It didn't seem like many of them were right, but they were always still out there. They weren't in green a lot. In fact, they're never in green. Offensive linemen don't put on green jerseys, the non-contact jerseys. Those 4, I think, were the main ones that I can recall off the top of my head.
Interesting note on Fabian. So, like his redshirt freshman year at Mississippi State, he played 490 snaps. And the only year that he was healthy at Florida State, he played, fully healthy at Florida State, was that second season. He played 489. So, like, when he's good, he can play that amount of reps. But 2020, obviously, COVID, short season, didn't even play 300 reps. 2022, he played 210 reps. And then last year, he played 337. So, he was closer to what he was. God, that's crazy. I thought he almost played just as much in 2022 as he did last year, but he clearly played a bunch more. So yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, it on the injury front. And
also somebody I thought of, and the reason I bring this up is because Adam Fuller brought it up after the game. But Tatum Bethune was he got really banged up. I don't remember him being out like the whole season. I think he was practicing, but in that Louisville game, he was not right. He was not healthy. And then he made what was probably the biggest defensive play of the game until Fisk and First there at the end with that interception in the end zone. Like that, yeah, a guy that was not healthy, that Fuller knew wasn't healthy and talked about it afterwards, that he had told Tatum, like, man, we need you, even though Tatum wasn't right. And he went out there and made a kind of a game-saving play.
How much of if this is worth talking about? That I think most of us can agree that the 23 roster was a little bit better than the roster they have right now. But the way they played against LSU, they did not look like that same team, I guess maybe against Miami, or if we want to go to the North Alabama game.
Especially offensively, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so do they have the depth to fill those gaps if guys go down, or if those guys are going to be slowed but still involved? That's probably something else that needs to be maybe factored into some of this team could be better offensively than last year. It's like if they stay completely healthy and live in a hyperbaric chamber when they're not on campus.
Yeah, but I think they have more bodies to throw at it. It's like that scene in Moneyball. I can't remember if I made this comparison before, where they're like, we make it up in the aggregate. Like, no, you're not going to have Jason Giambi.
Yeah.
But you lost these 4 people. They all had a combined on-base percentage of 370.
Yeah, snaps and points of Jonah
Yeah,
Hill.
he snaps. You want me to talk? Yeah, when I point to you, talk. So you're trying to find that kind of production. You're trying to find equal to the production you had from the wide receivers this year. But instead of doing it with 2 people that are going to be NFL players, maybe it's 5 different people. But together they combine to give you the numbers that Johnny and Keon did. And maybe that's how you make up the loss of kind of elite talent like that.
I know, but just like they're going to be banged up, man. Like this, guys don't feel good in November. And like this team did not feel good last year in November either, but you just feel like they had so much maturity and experience that they were able to figure out ways to, like you said, like Tatum Bethune, like, Justin Cryer, maybe he'll start every single game. But like, does he have like the moxie and the veteran savvy to kind of figure out a way to play hurt and still be really effective? It's, something you probably learned playing thousands of reps in college that he doesn't quite have yet, but Tatum did. So
kind of why it was cool that they went undefeated.
It was. And it's just only going to get you more upset when if they're not in the picture at some point next year, but we think they'll be in the picture the entire year. So
would it make up for it if they were clearly like the 16th best team by every metric, or the 19th best team, or they were 7-5 at the end of this season coming up, but they get elected to the playoff anyway, just as a makeup? Would that make you feel better at all? If they like, we owe you one.
No.
All right.
Because if you're the 19th best team, I think we can agree you're probably not going to win the playoff.
Yeah, well, you're probably not going to win the championship with Tate as your quarterback. But I feel like you had a better shot because that defense was elite. Maybe this one won't be as good. Clearly, if they're 7-5, it won't be.
Every time we talk about the playoffs, I got to cleanse my palate, get that bad taste out of my mouth. I do so by taking a Vitamin Energy. Today we're going to take the Burner Plus, pomegranate acai flavored, energized for 7 hours, maybe even more, mostly more. Nourish the body with nutrients, also a fat burner, 260 milligrams of all natural caffeine, getting you energized, as well as some ketones. Ketones? These things help burn your fat and then turn that into energy. The human body is an amazing thing when you put the right potions into it. You go to vitaminenergy.com, everybody. Use the promo code WarChampBOGO, WarChamp BOGO. Put an item in your cart, put another item of equal or lesser value, and you'll notice the price doesn't even change.
Yeah.
Because that one's free now, everybody.
So make it an expensive item.
Yeah. Or
get your money's worth.
Get like 5 of these things, and then you get 5 for free. Or 2, and you get 2 for free. It's amazing how all this stuff works out. Again, vitaminenergy.com, Florida State fans and alums, clearly successful in the business field with Vitamin Energy. They were also successful in their athletic endeavors, being all conference at Florida State. I can't say that, but I can say I'm going to have Vitamin Energy today. You do the same. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code Corey.
WarChamp BOGO.
We're actually doing pretty good today, Corey. We're pretty good on time. We got a lot of questions, but we got most of them done. Let's
trying to be succinct. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf and be a little more succinct in this show.
Yeah, you've been great. Like here's the tricky thing is, like I would lament this on my 9-hour car rides with Ira every now and then. I'd be like, man, if I could just get Corey to maybe whittle things down a little bit, and then but I would tell Ira, I'm like, there's times where literally in the middle of an answer, you'd give a great sort of line. I'm like, perfect. And then you'd keep accentuating it and adding on to it. I'm like, I am cutting out everything else he says after this point because he made his point. We need to move the show on. But as I would go back and actually start editing the show, I'm like, no, I got to leave that in there because it makes sense. So I'm basically telling you, like, you have the green light to talk, but let's turn over that new leaf and stay with that.
Look,
new
it's
leaf.
the curse of someone like me, Aslan, is when you talk so much, occasionally something brilliant will come out, and you just got to crawl through the weeds to try to find it.
You're always doing well. Hope you're doing well, JML16. Wake up. So a few weeks back, we hosted Pro Day. You guys attended the press conferences. We all know you're pros, but you're also still human. When you ask questions of a guy in that setting, do you feel a little sense of closure, a little sadness? For example, when the Jordan Travis interview ended and he says something like, "Thank you, guys," and walks off the podium, does the professional mode slip away and the personal come out? As a fan, seeing him walk away from that interview was like the passing of an era. I was genuinely sad, yet a little bit happy and grateful having watched that video. The Pro Days over the last few years have been our guys who have done so much for the program. Just wanted to peek behind the curtain as to what you guys feel in those moments.
I would say the only one that came close to that was Jordan. And it wasn't because we have a close relationship or anything. I mean, he is I plan to be the best man at his wedding, but that's fine. We're buds. What are you going to do? No, I think with Jordan, it's just because he was here in 2020. We've been interviewing him for 4 years. We saw the ascension. We saw who he became. We saw what this program became under his stewardship. So that's why that might have, it didn't really hit me at the time, but now that you're saying it, it's like, yeah, man, I won't talk to him anymore. But, Braden Fisk, we love him, but he was here for 8 months. Jared Verse, 1.5 years. Keon, well, we didn't get Keon. But a lot of these guys, you appreciate what they do, but maybe it's my age too. I'm not close enough to any of these guys where it pulls at my heartstrings that I don't get to talk to them anymore. But I'll always have a profound respect and admiration. I'm talking about the guys that we talked to at Pro Day for what they did for this program. Because of, frankly, selfishly, what it did for our livelihoods, but what it did for all of you too. They made your falls a lot happier. You don't have to hear so much from Florida fans anymore, do you? They're not talking a lot. That's all because of these guys. So with that in mind, I have profound, like I said, respect, admiration, and all that. But I don't feel a sense of longing because I don't get to talk to them anymore. I understand the question though. I just don't think we get them for 10 minutes every other week, so it's not like you build a big relationship there. And they're scrum interviews. They're not one-on-ones. So you don't build up a really close friendship or anything.
As soon as he's done talking, I have to run to the camera and stop recording and take the memory card out of the camera and then take it to my laptop and put it in my laptop and then immediately upload it onto our YouTube page and then put it into a story onto the front page of warchant.com and then let Tom and Ben know that it's up on our YouTube page. And can they please add a thumbnail and enhance the search terms on it so that it has maximum visibility on YouTube? So that's all going through my head. And then
but let me say this. You don't have to do that. You do it because you're you, and because we're Warchant.
Because that's what Irish Hotel wants me to do.
But you get it up there first. That's what we do, and you get it up better than anyone else. Oh, take that out. There's the title of the show.
Put that on my tombstone, please. But honestly though, but for real, I remember at that point, when I grabbed it and I was started uploading at that point, it's autopilot. I was like, man, that was crazy. That's the last time we are going to kind of talk to Jordan. Also, the injury aspect of it too made it that much more kind of heartbreaking when you think about it, because everybody else is super excited, and I've got all the confidence in him that if everything goes right in his rehab and a team gives him a shot, he's going to end up hanging on to a roster, and we'll see what happens. But he should have been having so much more of a sunny disposition, man. He's weathered everything. He's come on the other side of it. Such a stronger human being, and obviously even a better football player than he was. So, that aspect was kind of a bummer. But yeah, there's a little bit of that. When he finally said goodbye, it was like the season. It was like the series finale of a show. It's like, all right, man, it's over now. But hopefully we'll see him on the NFL. Yes, sir. S Quinn 67. Also, by the way, Clay Matvick, I don't know if he was drunk on Tuesday night when he was making the call to the Florida State game, but they were talking about Devin Travis. And he's like, yeah, Devin Travis, great Florida State baseball alum. He's with his wife. They're expecting the birth of their first child. Here you see some highlights of him in Omaha with the Noles, played for Mike Martin. His brother also, Jordan Travis, was a quarterback at Florida State for the last 7 years. He said it in such a way where it almost
was so dry that it might not have been a joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, was that a shot at our guy, Clay Madrick? But at the same time, like, yeah, man, he was here for a long time.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was something I remembered on Tuesday night. S Quinn 67, wake up. Just watch us sweep the Gators in baseball. Boom. Now that we're almost halfway through April, I hope we can get a strong discussion around this. Is Florida State closer to a run to Omaha or a college football playoff Final Four? Thanks for the continued great content. Have a great day. Oh, this could maybe generate discussion.
It's just such a hard question, though, right? Like, you look around. They clearly could get to Omaha.
They'd be the number one team in the country if they didn't blow the leads in Clemson. They
would literally,
they
yeah,
did,
they did do it, but they'd be ranked number one. They'd be 29-2, or 29-3, right? They're 27-5. Yeah. They'd be 29-3 with some enormous wins. When you look at the landscape of college baseball, and I don't know how they're going to do this weekend. Miami's good. I know they just got swept, but they lost every game to Duke, who's top 10, by 1 run each. So they're good. They're very capable. But either way, like, if they play well, I hate saying this, but it's the truth. If they play well in May and June, none of us would be stunned if they got to Omaha.
No,
they're good enough. No. I also think this football team will be good enough. Now, will they do it? I mean, I don't know. Is DJ going to throw a horrible interception? Is a cornerback going to fall down in a pivotal play in the fourth quarter? All those things are – but what you have to do, and I say this as a Braves fan – give yourself a chance to be there. Give yourself a chance to be in a position to have a chance. The Braves forever are in the playoffs. They've only won it twice in my lifetime out of, I would guess, 20 times they've been in the playoffs, 22 times. They've only won it twice. But that you keep giving yourself enough chances, eventually you'll get there. This team, this baseball team, is clearly good enough. But maybe Cam Leiter has a bad outing in the first game, or Jamie Arnold gives up a 3-run homer, or there's a bad error. All this stuff happens, but these two rosters are built to absolutely contend for those two milestones. I think they're even almost, really. I think they're even when it comes to the question.
Yeah.
It's about matchups, right?
Yeah. I think this is almost like live betting, it feels like. Because the baseball team's actually playing, they're in the thick of it right now. I think the baseball team we're seeing it. Like they are definitely one of the best 5 teams in the country. 8, you want to talk about like national seeds?
Certainly, maybe the best offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think I like the defense. I like the way the defense has been playing for Florida State this spring during football. I just don't know if I can say as confidently as I can say about the baseball team about just how good they are. So, I mean, because that's like the live betting aspect, it feels like this, Corey. It's like the line was 5.5, but now it's the second quarter of the game. So it's like now you've actually seen the way the game is playing out, and you can kind of assess and tweak your expectations from there. But I would say right now,
so the reality to the question, though, is to get in the playoffs, Florida State's going to have to win 10 games during the regular season. And then to get to the Final Four, they're going to have to win 2 in the playoffs. That's doable. They can beat, name a team, Ole Miss in the first round, and then they can beat somebody else in the second round. I think they're I mean, as it's constructed now in April, we don't know what the injury situation is like. I think they can do it. I think when you look at this baseball team, they can win 5 games in the postseason. They can win 3 games in a regional and 2 in a super, clearly. But so they've given themselves a chance. This is a conversation on both fronts that is really cool to have, because I can promise you 3 years ago that question would have been laughed off the show.
Oh yeah.
And and now here we are where legitimately both of those in our minds in the middle of April are realistic options.
That was a really good question. I almost wonder if that was generating discussion worthy. I have to get
didn't we already generate the discussion?
We did. That's the thing,
yeah.
Corey. Might need you to hop in here and read 1 or 2 and make sure that I don't jump the gun on issuing out blue ribbons so early in the show. But yeah, what a great place to be. Let's just enjoy that, right?
Yep.
Polk County Knoll. How did we not get a live wake up with Corey discussing the baseball win? Amazing. FUUF. Real question. Can we get you two to project a 2 deep on the offensive line? Your 2 starters. And, well, I'm not going. That'd be a 3 deep. He says your 2 starting end backups. Let's go with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is David Stickle the backup center?
I don't know. Apparently, but I don't know that. That is a question I wonder about.
So he's asking us to project. So all right. So obviously, Maurice at center, Jeremiah Byers at right tackle,
and I think Darius is the backup center.
Okay. Is he your starting guard though, or starting tackle? Do you project him to hold off Robert Scott when Robert Scott's ready to go in the preseason? Project your starter.
Yeah, maybe he's my projected starting left tackle for now, but I don't know. I'm just saying that. Look, man, I project Darius Washington to start somewhere. He just will. He's too instrumental, and his coach likes him too much. Like, if all 5 guys stay healthy, you can't convince me that Darius Washington, his last year in college, is going to play 9 snaps. There's just no way. They will find a place and a home for him, I think. So yeah, I don't know if I'm comfortable with the backups. I haven't watched it enough to know who, and I'm not educated enough in what I've seen to know who's earned the top backup role or who's earned the starting role at the guard spots. I do know that they mentioned Bryson Estes. Mike Norvell, unsolicited, mentioned Bryson Estes. So maybe he's in I wouldn't project him to start, but maybe he works himself into that 8 or 9 man rotation. Him and Atkins both talked highly of him.
All right, I'll play along. We'll go Robert Scott.
I'll let you play along.
Robert Scott left tackle, Maurice at center, Jeremiah my right tackle. My guards, Richie Leonard and Darius.
Okay.
And then second team.
So no Keandre.
No. Keandre is my guard, my backup guard. Ferguson, the other guard. We'll put Stickle, second team center in that situation. Jalen Early is one of the tackles in this situation. And then, they haven't put Armel at tackle, so I don't know if they'd flex him back out at tackle. I don't think Julian's one of your backup. I don't think he's your 2 deep right now at guard. I just don't. And I don't think Lucas Simmons is one of your tackles either. I don't know who that other tackle would be in your 2 deep right now at this point. I'm drawing blanks. I guess Otto's played a lot and actually done decent, so I'll put Otto there.
And I would say this: I think if Maurice Smith did get hurt, I think Darius is your center and one of those other guys is the guard.
Yes,
takes his guard spot probably.
Yeah, your best. Like your 6th best guy and your 2 deep, there's not a lot of intersection there. Like it could be somebody completely different. So, all right, we did it, Corey. That was awesome. Mathis Jones. We didn't do it as like that was the finale.
I thought that meant that was the last question. Okay.
No, but buckle up.
What a pump fake.
Speaking of which, we interviewed Tommy Polley the other day, and I forgot to bring up the Sam to see if he could see how Sam Cassell feels about Florida State basketball. They went to the same high school. Obviously not at the same time, but, small world. You figure maybe some.
And we're both stars on the basketball team at that high school, yeah.
Look out for that interview dropping next week probably. Mathis Jones, where would Florida State be had they hired Mike Norvell instead of Willie Taggart after Jimbo bolted? Willie had to deal with a bad locker room dynamic, but the 2018 team was not devoid of talent. Cam Akers, Nooney, Tamorian, Trey McKitty on offense, Brian Burns, Hamza, Big Marv, Asante on defense. I think the bowl streak and winning seasons would have continued, and the hurdles Norvell faced immediately, COVID mainly, and the lack of inherited talent, don't impact Florida State comparatively to the reality, or comparative to reality, rather. But earning that locker room's respect might have been tough, and flipping the roster would have been more difficult without the transfer portal, at least to the same extent. Your thoughts?
I kind of agree with all that. Not to be succinct as possible, but I do kind
Somebody's
of agree
ready
with
for
all
the show to end.
Yeah. Next question. I agree. No, I would say to the heart of the actual how we started it. I have a hard time thinking, though, that the offense, Mike Norvell's offense in his first year, with some of the talent they had there, would have been as bad as what they ended up with. The problem is, because that offense was a joke. It was awful. It was just awful. They scored 3 points in the first game. They scored, I think, 1 touchdown against Syracuse in the next game, and Francois,
Well, Samford was the next game after.
Well, right. Sorry, the next ACC game, and Francois was all pissed off because he kept getting sacked with good reason. Like, there's only so much you could do with that offensive line. I do think that Norvell and Atkins would have made better adjustments than Taggart, Fry, and Walt Bell did. Clearly, like that Syracuse game was more embarrassing than the Virginia Tech game. Because you'd had 2 weeks to see what the issues were, and you still trotted out there and didn't seemingly change a thing. You still couldn't block, didn't do anything to adjust for not being able to block, and you just got embarrassed, and your quarterback's pitching a fit on the ground again, and mad that his Abdul Bello or whoever, one of those guys was trying to help him up again. So I do think they win a bowl. I think they make it to a bowl. But, yeah, it wouldn't have been very good because – all that talent you listed off is fine. It's good talent. The offensive line was left as a disaster zone. And back then, you couldn't change it as easily as you can now. So they still would have had a lot of hard work to do.
Did Dickerson play at all in 18, or did he leave by the time everything started? He was out here in spring, but I think he transferred to Alabama. So
no, he definitely played a game. He played was 18 the Louisville game when they won at Louisville?
Yeah, no, because he was here when Randy Clements came, and that's when he left.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He played, but I think he played, like, he wasn't all that healthy. Yeah. He gutted out the Louisville game, but he was always unhealthy. I mean, he was always hurt at Florida State. Yeah. And then I used to joke, like, well, good luck, Bama. And then it goes to Bama and becomes an Iron Man. And is now a really good player in the NFL.
Now he's like the highest paid center or something.
Yes, he's great. He's great. That was a good recruiting job to land him. He wasn't developed all that well, and he just unfortunately couldn't stay healthy at Florida State. He probably made the right move transferring to Alabama.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm with you, better coaches, but I just wonder, Alec Eberle and Dickerson,
there was real struggles.
Kelly.
Yes.
But I think you have enough mature leadership. I know they might not be vocal, but guys like Brian Burns, like to Mathis Jones's point, like you've got a Cam Akers on one side of the ball, you have Brian Burns on the other side of the ball, and Asante. You could get 6. I mean, they got 5 with Willie, right? Like they weren't 1 and 11. I mean, he got 5 wins. You would think,
and one of them was the blown win at Miami where they're up 27-7 with the ball twice, and then they kept turning it over.
So, yeah, we'll give Norvell a war of 2. So that would have been a 7-5 team. Maybe they don't beat Florida at home, but they might not have their backs against the wall at that point to need that win to stay bowl eligible. So,
and remember too, now they, I think when it comes the next years when you blow the big lead to Boise, you have a lead against Virginia and you blow that, you beat Louisiana Monroe on a field goal. Like that team just had in its DNA to collapse down the stretch. I don't know how you quantify that with coaching, but Norvell's teams don't have that in them. I don't know how you blame it on the head coach that his teams melt, but Norvell's teams don't, at least recently, have not melted down. They've lost to better teams other than Jacksonville State. But and by the way, as bad as Willie was, Norvell trumps him for all time in the worst losses. Yeah. Like you can't beat that one. So it's not a guarantee that that was Norvell's second year. So there's not a guarantee that you just come in and he cleans it up automatically, because Jacksonville State happened in year 2. After Notre Dame. After overtime loss to Notre Dame, Jacksonville State happened. So he's not above reproach either. It's just that now with hindsight, the guy has built a program where it seems like a tough-minded group. They don't wilt when things get tough, and that team consistently did. But I don't know. I mean, he took over a locker room that was 3-6 the year before, and their national championship coach bolted. So they were kind of wounded, and he didn't salve the wounds, solve them or salve them. But he didn't create them either. So it's hard to know. It's a hard answer. It's a really hard answer to give if you're trying to give a legitimate one, because you just don't know. I think Norvell would have handled it better. I think they would be better, but it's hard to know because the situations were so different.
Do you think he would have recruited Jordan Travis in terms of, like, obviously Jordan wanted to leave Louisville and he probably wanted to come to Florida State. Would he have been a take? Rhetorical, really. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I think so, but I don't know. I think I will say this. I do trust that somewhere in 2019, as he watches Hornibrook just just
Not do well.
hornswoggled
Not
the
do
team
well.
to death.
Not do well.
That you would be like, you know what? That kid that's the third stringer can give us something. Let's get him in. Let's just do Wildcat with him a few times. I think he would have done that.
By the way, everybody yelling at us, it was a missed extra point in overtime against Louisiana Monroe that gave Florida State the win. It wasn't a missed field goal. They missed a
well,
PAT.
I mean, come on. It's the same thing, gang.
No, it's not. I mean,
it's a field goal. Technically, he's trying to make it between the uprights. But, yes, it was a missed extra point.
It was a 1-point win in overtime. You scored.
And it's what he – well, what does it matter? The field – but what's so crazy about it is I can't believe he went for the extra point. Go for 2 and win the game, man. You've got a chance to win the game. You got one play to beat Florida State on their home field, coming back from 21 down in the second half at Louisiana Monroe, and you decide to kick the extra point.
Maybe that'll be like our off-season interview series. Like, what was going on? Should we get like Narduzzi? Didn't Pitt go for it like on 4th and 1 against Penn State one year when they were down by, or they kicked the field goal?
No, they kicked the field goal.
Yeah,
when they were at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
And also, it happened this past year with Boston College made some weird decisions. What was the one? 2 years ago, LSU, Brian Kelly, when they scored on the last play of the game. Go for 2 and you win the game. Right. It's ridiculous you're even in this game.
Cowards.
Coward. That's what you get. That's what you get when you coach scared.
Marlon, Joker, Gurr, REA. Wake up, gents. You think that in 10 years from now, if we jump to the Big Ten, Florida State will regret it if it means losing out on playing the in-state rivals yearly because they won't be able to swing it, or read it verbatim, Aslan. You won't be able to keep both or even neither with a Big Ten schedule plus playoffs to consider.
Man, it's weird to say the entity Florida State. I get the question. Repeat the first sentence of the question again.
Do you think that in 10 years from now, if we jump to the Big Ten, will Florida State regret it if it means
All right, stop
lose?
right there. I think Florida State fans might. Will Florida State? I don't know. They're going to be making a ton of money. And maybe that's their only way to get into the Big Two is to go to the Big Ten. And this is part of the unintended consequences. You lose these kind of rivalries. But it's just worse for the fans. The school's making money. They don't care. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses to keep giving you a good football product and to keep making all this money for themselves and everybody else, everybody that works there, and giving the fans a good product. But again, it's like Maryland leaving the ACC. Who was that done for? The Maryland fans' lives are no better now, even though their school has a ton more money. It's still the same mediocre football program. Their basketball lost their rivalries. They haven't been really good in either since. It's not like their football team is on the up and up. And that sounds like I'm saying don't go to the Big Ten. Stay in the ACC. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that these decisions always seem to impact fans more than everything else. This particular decision when it comes to Florida State, I don't think you could say would regret it, though, if the alternative is you're stuck in the ACC in 2034 with no real chance to compete for what you care about the most, which is championships.
Real contrarian view here. If Miami and Florida continue to struggle, I don't think it won't be nearly as big of a deal because you'll focus on your success and they're irrelevant to getting to the national championship. And if they're good, you're going to have to go through them to win a national championship, probably. At least one of them, right? Either you'll hang on to one of those rivalries or you'll end up meeting one of them in the playoff, or they'll also be in the playoff on one side of the bracket. And if they don't make it, hey, that was their fault. They couldn't make it. I think as long as Florida State is continuing to do well and those programs aren't, you'll be fine with it. But if if the leaf turns over at some point and Florida State starts struggling, and then you see Miami or Florida doing great and you're not playing each other, you probably will tell yourself, well, I wish we could at least play them and get a shot at knocking them off their horse. But this is what we live in, everybody.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine not playing Miami and Florida every year. And I'll say this: I don't think they'll ever not play Florida. I just think that's always going to be a part of the schedule. I don't know that it'll always be the end of the year, but they might move it to another part of the schedule. But I think Florida will always be there. If I'm saying if Florida State's in the Big Ten and Miami isn't, it might be hard to play both. But I think Florida is the one you keep. But last night, Tuesday night was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
beating your rival 19-4. It's always fun to beat your rival, and hopefully the people in charge of all this nonsense will understand that more than any other sport, rivalries in college football absolutely matter. And don't take that away so Florida State can play Minnesota. Like, make sure Florida's always going to matter more than Minnesota. So make sure those games still stay on the schedule.
But, I mean, we say that, but A&M and Texas haven't played each other in however many years.
Man, A&M has sucked at football our entire lives, Aslan. Florida State and Florida have been awesome at football. It's a rivalry that matters. A&M and Texas doesn't.
Well, Oklahoma,
Oklahoma does.
Oklahoma-Nebraska was a huge rivalry forever. They stopped playing when...
Yeah. It's not in-state, though. I think it's a little different when it's in-state. But I see what you're saying. Oklahoma-Nebraska is a much better comparison because that was the game of the century every year. Yeah. That was a huge one.
I mean, Notre Dame and Michigan, again, I know they're not in-state, but that's a historic rivalry that's had a bunch of lulls, so...
that would just suck.
It would just
suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would just suck.
I'm with you. But, hey, this is the court or the path that we've charted or whatever. So
we didn't chart it. Well, we're just along for the ride.
We're part of the college football
machine.
Industrial complex.
Yeah, we are.
So,
we're part of the machine.
3 more questions. Island Chief, wake up.
3 more? All right, succinct as possible. Let's do it.
We recorded an interview before this, so we've been recording for like 2 hours, plus Corey did headlines, so he's had a long day, everybody. So.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, again, Tuesday, 3 interviews, observations, baseball gamer. Corey needs a break, everybody.
Buddy, that's it. What am I having to work? This is ridiculous. I didn't sign up for this.
I didn't go to Yale to have to work 40 hours a week. Wake up. It was great to see Hauser with so much energy on Tuesday night. That place can be pretty special when the Noles are playing good baseball. The most electric moment I have known watching the Noles. By the way, we're going to have so many electric metaphor tie-ins. I can't wait with all the stuff that we're doing with Cummins. Electric moment, backup, best backup player, all this stuff. It's going to be great. Anyhow, it's the most electric moment he's known watching the Noles, he says, was when Scott Bentley hit the field goal in the Orange Bowl, though it was briefly interrupted, but it was made all the better. Poetic. I was on the rope of the gallery when Larry Mize chipped in at the 87 Masters.
Wow.
That's incredible. He's also attached a photo from the 200-meter final at the 96 Olympics.
Hey, I was there. I was at that.
I think he could put his foot out and trip Michael Johnson if he wanted to.
Is he Forrest Gump? Who is this guy? Why is he getting so close to all these historical events?
Yeah, the Larry Mize, that's crazy. You went to Augusta. I mean, that's
so he was at Larry Mize for those. I think what did he say, 87?
Yeah.
He chipped in from I don't know. It was off the green. It might have been like 100 feet. I don't know. He chipped in from off the green in a playoff to beat I think Greg Norman.
Correct.
And it was and Larry Mize was from Augusta.
140 feet, by the way.
What was it?
140 feet.
I mean, imagine Greg Norman. Like, really, dude? It's crazy that I'm having to play some dude named Larry Mize. He's playing the round of his life just to get to the playoff, and it's his home course. But then I got to go. He chips in from 140 feet away. That's just Greg Norman's luck. Yeah. So that was like one of the all-time upsets and just out of nowhere stories in sports. Before John Daly trumped it a few years later at the PGA. But, man, what an all-time – that's one of the most famous moments in golf history. Maybe the most famous. I don't know. There's can't be many more famous than that. And then, 9 years later, he's at one of the most famous races of all time too?
Yeah.
He must be he's a Georgia guy. Must be a Georgia kid that we're talking to.
What is your most memorable moment at a Florida State game or other sporting event? I thought I was going to ask to start the most electric moment. Can I spin it to what's the most electric moment?
Yeah, that's so vague. Yeah, go for it.
It's still 2011 Oklahoma game.
Oh, even though they lost.
Yeah, just that night, man. Never forget it. I flew in again. I flew in from Jackson, Mississippi to Panama City Beach. I left at like 5 a.m. from Jackson, flew to Panama City, rented a car, drove to Tallahassee, and then just began drinking. Nonstop for like however many hours that was. We felt like we were, yeah. Anyway, cut me off. Go ahead, Corey.
The two I have are the Choke It Doke, just because it was about a 45-minute crescendo.
So this isn't really. You stayed the whole time?
Oh yeah. But yeah, my dad. We wanted to see Thad Busby come in and get some reps. He didn't. Cannell stayed in for one last drive, led him to a touchdown, and then it was just like a crescendo for 45 minutes of people saying, "Is this really happening? Or they have a chance?" And then when they made it 31-17, they did it in like 2 plays. So it went from 31-3 to 31-17 in the span of 2 minutes. And so all of a sudden you're only down 2 touchdowns with 10 minutes left to go, and it's a game again. So that game, just the way the crowd continued to build when it started to get real. And then Sid Bream scoring on Francisco Cabrera's hit to left field to beat the Pirates.
I didn't know you were at the launch pad that night.
Game 7 of the 92 NLCS. And I remember specifically because this was after the second wide right. I was at both wide rights too, 91 and 92. And I'm almost positive the second wide right had already happened by the time this happened. And I remember telling my dad, I think this makes up for the wide right as we're celebrating in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And he goes, no, it doesn't. Now, he said it with a smile on his face because we were very excited that our team was going to the World Series. But, no, it did not, in his mind, make up for the 2 wide rights.
Oh, that's incredible. Our guy Walker, I think we might actually see him at the golf tournament on Friday. The Walking Knoll. Right. Gentlemen, last but maybe not least, you're not the last one. We got one more after you. How awesome is it that we're rising as an athletic program to the top of the national rankings in most sports when all this conference realignment stuff is coming up? Sure. I feel like this is showing the Big Ten and, more importantly, the SEC that we are a dominant program in all areas and would be a great addition to their conference.
Agree, but really only one sport matters. But I absolutely agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, it's not never a bad time to have your good outfit on, see the right person at the gym. P.S. What's your favorite baseball uniform combinations? Thanks for all you do. Yep, see you at the golf tournament Friday, he says. So confirmed.
I don't really have one. I do like the garnets, the all garnets, the new ones this year. I would love to see the banana yellows come back. I love those. I'm not a huge uniform guy, so I don't really have my favorite combination.
What's up with fanatics in these Major League Baseball jerseys, Corey? Huh? The pants.
Yeah, what's going on there? The sweat stains and everything. Yeah, I don't know, buddy.
I don't know. It's been a big thing on Twitter. I really like the cream colored jerseys that Meat started using, but they don't use those anymore. I'm a big off-white guy. Otherwise, I like they wear white with garnet pinstripes, which I like more than the all gold. Sorry, I know everyone's like all golds, white garnet pinstripes, top notch. All right. Last one, Knoll for Life, class of 2007. You did not win this week. By the way, we're only going to give you only can win one time, everybody. But
if you win it 1 week, don't come with another great question the next week.
Well, you can. You're just not going to win again.
Yeah.
Wake up, fellas. Thanks for the love of my question last week. After watching the complete destruction of Florida on Tuesday, it is clear that Mike Alford has an eye for hiring good coaches. It's well documented that he is now it's well documented that now is not a great time to move on from Coach Ham for a variety of reasons. That said, with players leaving and no players coming in via the portal, the basketball team is on very shaky ground.
It's in a hole. The ground is opened up.
He does. So
was that the question?
No, well, Mike Alford had nothing to do with Mike Norvell's hiring.
Correct.
So the question kind of ties that in, though.
But he might have had a lot to do with keeping him.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, I agree with that. He did not. Oh my God, Coburn. Golly,
David Coburn,
man.
Coburn. David Coburn. James and not James Thrasher. Is that what? No, John Thrasher. Sorry, Prez. Apologize.
You call him James.
Norvell and Jared are proof positive that Alford can find the right man for the job. Could it be worth it to take the risk and move on from Ham, knowing Alford's ability to find and hire young coaches on a positive career trajectory?
I don't know if it was the same questioner, but we had the same question on headlines on Wednesday about, well, he brought up Brian Pinsky, too, with soccer, which was fantastic hire and done very quickly. That turned out to be an incredible hire. I mean, he's surpassed – I mean, I know Krikorian basically built it to a juggernaut, but, man, that team last year had surpassed anything Krikorian had put together. Just a great, great, great soccer team. But, I mean, I still think the candidates that are out there right now, I would assume, are going to be out there next year. I don't. Maybe you could have gotten the guy at College of Charleston, but he was going to choose Louisville over Florida State. And who else is out? I mean, Calipari probably wasn't coming here. Musselman wasn't coming here. Infield, I don't think was coming here. I don't know.
Musselman's wife is a Florida State alum.
Is that true?
Yeah, might have been able to pull him here.
Huh? I didn't know that. That's.
But I think
maybe
they like Los Angeles, so you can't compete with that. So. Yeah, I guess what this gives you one more year of data gathering for these guys.
Yes, correct.
Because listen, I know USF's coach did a really great turnaround job, but what if they don't win their conference again, or not even that? But like, what if they go 17-14?
You know who I always think about when it comes to that? I was thinking about this guy last week. The guy at Iowa State football.
Oh, Matt Campbell.
He's still there, right?
He is. I was a big Matt Campbell guy. Big Matt Campbell guy.
I mean, Florida State could have. Florida State probably would have offered him the job 5 years ago, right? I don't know if they did, but I bet he would have been on a short list. And if he'd expressed real interest, I bet they would have had a real interest back in him. And he turned down, or seemingly turned down, some of these overtures from these big schools. And here we are half a decade later, still pooting out 7-win seasons at Iowa State.
Yeah.
Is that just his lot in life?
Right.
Like he was talked about as an NFL guy, or a Ohio State guy, or a Texas guy, or wherever he was going to go, and he's still at Iowa State. Because other than those couple of years, they've been good-ish, but they haven't been great, and he hasn't built upon it. So to your point about the guy at South Florida, I think he's a good coach too, but you're right. If they take a step back and they go 16-16, well, maybe you got saved from not hiring a guy that wasn't going to work out.
Anecdotally, they actually had the Champions Club decked out, like chairs, big banner. I don't know if it said welcome, but it was definitely something football announcement related themed. They had the entire Champions Club decked out. There was a video of it on Twitter. And then either that same day or the next day, Matt Campbell and Iowa State announced that he had signed a contract extension. And then later that day when that announcement came, everything got moved out of the Champions Club. So take that for what it's worth anecdotally.
Could have been a miscommunication.
I remember that.
Or it could have been, there could be something to it. Either way, it worked out.
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Yeah,
And he gets to live in Ames.
Yeah, don't give me a seat at the table for coaching searches. So I'll set it out. I'll let Michael Alford.
You wanted you were in love with what's his name in Arkansas, old Sam Pittman.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying first year the only thing I picked out Lane. I wanted Lane instead of Willie.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can always fall back on.
You nailed that one. Yes, Lane would not have been nearly as bad as Willie. He was such a wild card, though, because of his personality and what he'd done the previous half decade at his stops. You didn't know how it was going to work out at another big boy school, and I don't know that Ole Miss is quite that. But it's an SEC school, and he's done great there. So yeah, he's proven he can really coach.
Yeah. I didn't really like Pittman. I was just saying, hey man, like they were doing well their first year.
Yeah.
So did Mel Tucker. So did Dave Aranda. And look at all those guys now. So patience, everybody.
Hey,
patience.
the tortoise wins the race sometimes, folks.
Yeah, let him finish this thing out. We're going to the Elite Eight next year.
That's right. That's right. Back to the question. I do think you will hire somebody youngish, certainly younger than Leonard. Wouldn't that be something? That would be a stunner if he hired somebody older than Leonard. But yeah, so I think he's going to hire somebody youngish. It's just a question of it's going to be an assistant coach from a big boy program or the NBA, or if it's going to be a head coach. But you see the waters, again, that you're fishing from. Louisville, who is by every single measure a much better basketball job than Florida State. And I know the guy at College of Charleston is considered a very good coach, but they went and got the guy at the College of Charleston. So if that's where Louisville is fishing from, you're in that same area. Just like Florida had to go get the guy from San Francisco. Like you're not going to get Scott Drew. So you're going to have to get somebody, an up-and-coming coach, either from a head coach at a lower program or an assistant coach at a big program.
We're going to leave, but I wanted to mention this because I didn't realize this. So they hired Pat Kelsey, Louisville did. Mm-hmm. They took him away from College of Charleston. You know who College of Charleston hired?
Is it Chris Mack?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, the old Louisville coach.
Yeah.
And then when Kelsey gets fired, but Mack wins at College of Charleston, let's bring him back.
I'm just saying, what if Chris Mack messes around and wins a first-round game next year at Charleston? Like, he's probably back in play for Power 5.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he envisions himself retiring in Charleston, South Carolina. Great city.
Yeah, a lot worse places to retire.
Yeah, ghost tours, sheet
Savannah.
crab soup.
I thought Savannah was
they got it in
tour.
Charleston. Man, all those old towns, St. Augustine, they had fires for days back then that apparently just all they did was kill kids. Just Kids couldn't run out of a burning house for some reason, and they're haunting the entire cities. New Orleans, too. So, so Chris Mack, he's definitely going to be somewhere if he can win at College of Charleston.
All right, and really, really long show is over now, everybody. We're going to go cover practice. Jeff Cameron Show's got you covered from 1 to 3 o'clock. Hit the thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. Go to Warchant.com.
And we're going to try to have a very short show on tomorrow. But we're going to cover we got the baseball game to talk about, and we got practice. But we can't give you another hour. What has this been, 2 hours and 12 minutes?
Yeah. By the way, so Arnold, Lauk, and Dorsey starting this weekend against Miami. So no Connor Whitaker, no did I say Hauk?
You said Lauk. No, I'm saying
Lauk.
So Lauk and Dorsey, so no Connor Whitaker either?
Correct. Well, yeah,
Yikes.
He's not going to start at least. So
Well, I know, but that's weird. He's been starting.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that's maybe troublesome. I don't know what's going on there.
Tune in for more, everybody. We'll do another show for you folks tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. He's Corey Maslon. It's been Wake Up Warchant presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.